Feel the connection never shift from the earth as it steps and slides onto the other foot.
Yes, remain connected. That's a big thing. And as we shift the weight from one foot to the next, as we were talking about on the Tai Chi walking demonstration, you can feel the force transfer right through the floor of your perineum. These masters were developing such a high degree of sensitivity that they could literally, when they're in contact, they could feel where their partner, where his weakness was, and then exploit it by sending their chi into that specific place. Or they would wait until they could draw their opponent off balance, and they can feel the moment that the balance is lost, and then that's when they act.
Yeah, so I was just hoping to talk a little bit about like the fundamentals and get some feedback from you on this underlying philosophy, and really it's a science that was developed for thousands of years of how to move throughout our days, throughout our work, and where we're cultivating energy and making our system more healthy rather than more tired or torn through the principles of Tai Chi.
Beautiful, my friend. Sounds great. So yeah, we're talking about Tai Chi, some of the basics, the fundamentals, just to kind of get started with like understanding why are we doing this? What's it about? What's it for? Where did it come from? Kind of what's the philosophy of it and things? What do we hope to gain? And where can we get a good start?
Yeah. A lot of it has to do with orientating ourselves in the world of interconnectedness, in the world of energy. Like when we're going through a day-to-day life in the society, we're kind of conditioned to be in a beta mental perspective, and the practice is to shift into ourselves and into alpha rhythms and into awareness of our energy system, into awareness of the potential of what is there when we're in communication with ourselves as an energy system and as a fluid system, as an interconnected whole rather than parts.
We already know we're much more capable of producing great results when the body is in structural alignment, right? So the highest performing athletes, their bodies are attuned to functioning in the greatest possible structure, so that they have the power, can move through that structure and produce the best results.
With great efficiency.
And so without even going into the energy part of it, just the structure alone is incredibly important.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us, we just never learned this.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have good models for it. And most of us are carrying like so much tension, emotional trauma, pain. We have our minds everywhere, even if we're not carrying a whole lot of pain, but we're just distracted all the time. And so we're not really in touch with our body. We're not paying attention to how we're holding ourselves. And oftentimes this leads to stress on the joints, the organs. If we're stressed out in our thoughts, for instance, and we don't take time to resettle into the body and let those energies transform, balance, and harmonize, we're building up toxins in the form of these habitual mental patterns that release literal toxins into our bloodstream. To mention, the energy, now when we start to incorporate the energy, though, we're really activating things to a whole different level. And the only way that we can transfer the force, though, of the energy is we got to get the structure right.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is why it's so important to break down. Everyone wants to learn, a lot of times anyways, myself for sure included. I wanted to learn about the energy. Sure, I was, you see, we've all seen, Dragon Ball Z and these other cartoons and things, and people are projecting energy out of their bodies and just causing this awesome display of power.
Yeah.
And yes, that would be great if we could start there.
Yeah.
But that's sort of like what can entice us to practice, what's to show us what is possible, what can be attained. It's really limitless. But we have to do the work. We have to develop a strong foundation and get a good start there.
Yeah, the structural alignment makes it so when our awareness synchronizes with the connection of the earth and the heavenly forces, that our system can hold that without hurting our system. Because if we're pushing in a way that isn't balanced, then that's going to provoke more imbalance inside our system. With the more energy that we're putting forth, the more potential for health and the more potential for unhealth.
Yes. And it's really, we're developing such a high degree of sensitivity with this practice. I mean, think about it. Developed initially, one of its uses was as a martial art. Maybe its first use as a martial art, Tai Chi. And these practitioners, these masters were developing such a high degree of sensitivity that they could literally, when they're in contact, they could feel where their partner, where his weakness was, and then exploit it by sending their chi into that specific place. Or they would wait until they could draw their opponent off balance, and they can feel the moment that the balance is lost, and then that's when they act. And so this type of sensitivity, this level of sensitivity, is a skill that we can all develop, and whether we want to be fighters, warriors or not, we can use this power, this capacity for all sorts of things.
Yeah, whether you're gardening or cutting trees or whatever it is. It's
just
all
connecting with people in general, to be able to have that sensitivity where you can connect with people, but maintain your own ground. We hear a lot about this from empaths who complain, I don't want to be around these people. They make me stressed out. I'm an empath. I can't take it. I pick up, I feel other people's energy. But I think a lot of the main problem is just we have to be able to ground that energy. We have to have the correct structure. We have to be open and connected and deeply grounded and rooted, so that when we encounter those energies, they can just be deflected down into the ground, right through our field.
Yeah, they know where to go.
And so this can be a very, very powerful practice for people who are having issues with that, when they're picking up so much unwanted energy and they're unable to process it faster than they can absorb it. This can really help them develop the rooting and grounding capacity of being able to direct that energy down into the ground before it even gets absorbed into the body. And this is a very powerful capacity.
Yeah, and it's a different way of thinking. It's a different orientation. Like, to just start out yourself with that understanding that you're moving into a different orientation and a different way of being, and it's gonna reflect in the rest of the way you see the world. As the body is a fractal, like as the wrist is a fractal of the hips, and as the hands are a fractal of the back, and the feet are a fractal of the rest of the body, our body is a fractal of the earth. That's a more in-depth conversation to go into, but
before you even started that line, I was thinking, we're starting to get away from the fundamentals here. That's how conversations go sometimes. But bringing it back, some of the basics. There's a connection to the ground. There's a felt connection where we're really feeling our feet, feel the connection of our feet, feeling the weight of our bodies in the feet. That's a really good start. And just kind of letting them spread out and dropping that energy down a little bit. Carrying emotions over time too, it tends to raise the center of gravity up. And people, as they get older, oftentimes they become top heavy because their center of gravity is so high. So this is a practice and a process too of dropping it down. That's why we do some of those animal qigong poses as well. Activate this area, reconnect with the core, and really settle in here. So it's like deeper than the emotions, but sometimes we got to go through some really tough emotions to get there and to settle in. And that's just part of the cleaning, part of the processing, part of the healing that it has to offer us too. So I would say that's one. Developing a little more subtle awareness. So as you were speaking about in the beginning, just tuning into the inner felt sense within the body, within the organs, even just the sensations of the physical body alone. When we really become mindful, alert, and simultaneously surrender and let go of thinking and just explore directly with our direct felt sense of awareness that can extend or expand out through our body. It's already there, really. We just, we're so localized up here sometimes we got to unhook or snap out of it, drop down and feel. Is very nuanced. There's a lot to pay attention to. And it's kind of like, when you're learning any skill, like let's say piano, we have to study for years and years and years. And you have to learn all the different technique, all the different theory, and then you find yourself in the middle of a jam session with people and you're not thinking about anything. Your fingers know exactly what to do, and you can, because you develop that level of mastery, you don't have to think about anything anymore. You can just enjoy it. And that's what we want to get to with this practice. But it's the same way. We got to break it down to these very small movements and pay attention to these little subtle shifts. And this develops our discipline. It develops a calming of the mind and an ability to focus more. It develops our connection to our body. And just that alone, we can feel the healing work that's going on just by bringing awareness inside the body.
Yeah.
Some good basics, good fundamentals for you guys to contemplate and start to pay attention to, because we want to bring this into our everyday life, so you don't have to wait to come out to the retreat. You don't have to wait to learn the form even. You can just start to contemplate, feel into the movements of your body and the shifts of energy and your balance. Move slower, break it down a little slower.
Move like 75% of what would be a full step. And feel the connection never shift from the earth as it steps and slides onto the other foot.
Yes, remain connected. That's a big thing. And as we shift the weight from one foot to the next, as we were talking about on the Tai Chi walking demonstration, you can feel the force transfer right through the floor of your perineum. And even if you're washing the dishes or driving your car, you can bring this level of mindful awareness to it. And make it a meditative practice. Until next time, my friends, much love. Stay high on spirit.